It must be taken as given that a man who happens to be the world's most powerful, most terrible, most deadly sorcerer must have a woman at his side. But it does not follow, my children, that a woman of similar proportions requires a man at hers. Now then, who wants to be a tyrant?
Hello, and welcome to the Legendary and Green Team's Malazan series. Welcome to episode 1 of the Bonehunters series. I'm Yasnaz a boy, and I'm joined by Hiran Fan.
Hello.
Befuddled Panda.
Hi.
And Ashaman.
Welcome back, everybody.
Hiran Fan and Ashaman are the Malazan veterans, and Panda and I are reading the series for the first time. For the Bonehunters, we will be recording 5 episodes instead of our usual 4. And I am reading ahead in the Book of the Fallen, so I've already completed the book. Today we are covering Bonehunters chapters 1 through 5. Spoiler warning, everything up through these chapters is fair game for discussion. We will be doing our usual chapter-by-chapter format. All right.
Okay, we'll start out with the prologue this time. Hellion screws up, the Nameless Ones do some digging, and we meet another Mechar.
Panda, who do you think this Mechar is in relation to Kalam?
I don't know. Dad? Brother?
That's what when I was reading this, my first thought was dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
I was just wondering if you had the same thought.
No, I mean, like, why did you think it was his dad?
He's older and he's like hiding out, and he has, I don't know, seems to be like the village elder in the scene, right? Everybody's looking up to him and listening to him. Kalam's like 30-ish, maybe. I don't know how old Kalam is really.
What is
Kalam's older
age
than
in
that.
Malazan?
Right.
Maybe in the 40s or maybe 50s.
I think he could be in his 30s, maybe 40s. I have
He's
no idea.
really good at what he does if he's like 30.
I don't think we can
Yeah,
assume
but he's
that
also
they're
like
related at
really
all.
strong.
I think Steve probably just forgot that the name Mechar was taken and just reused it.
You know, sure. I would buy that. I mean,
Yeah. Okay, well, ask him about it. I just forgot. That is not the case. Sorry for spoilers.
no, yeah, I mean, dad or brother, probably father. I don't know. Did we get any of Kalam's backstory, like his childhood?
Not his childhood, but we got like his backstory. That's what you like. He
I mean,
was in the Claw. He's not in the Claw
okay,
anymore.
yeah, but
Joined
And
the
he used to
First
hang out with Quickbin in the desert.
Yeah,
Right.
and he was gonna stab them in the back, but then he was like, "You guys are cool. I'll join you."
yeah, when he was like 12, going through angsty years, yeah. Next question.
What did you think of the Nameless One prologue there, everyone?
I thought it was cool.
I loved it.
I loved it too. I really liked the way it was written too, in Dejim Nabral's perspective. And as each and every one of the priests kind of sacrificed themselves, a little piece of Dejim Nabral woke up, and like the power of that woke up in him, and he's like becoming more and more aware of the world. And then Envy's sister Spite kind of stabs him all in the back and then runs off, and that's really cool.
Yeah. Did they just not expect that? Like, why wouldn't she do that?
I don't think they anticipated dying. I think
No,
they were pretty surprised.
they totally did anticipate dying. It's made pretty clear in the scene that they all knew they were going to die. But for some reason, it's implied that they thought she was going to die with them, even though she can turn into a dragon and fly. I don't know. Because they had to be there to, like, for Dejim Nabral to eat them so that he could be big and strong and do what they want him to do.
I would not join
Legend
this
of Raw
cult.
could have eaten other things.
What,
I
like
find the
Black
Nameless Ones
Veed?
kind of hilarious because they're just so full of themselves.
Really are.
And it's hard to tell if it's warranted or not.
It's a terrible cult.
Yeah. And like, it's not even clear at this point if they have any sort of way of communicating with Azath. And in Deadhouse Gates, I think it was like Shadow Throne. Like, made a deal with them, quote unquote, but there was never actually any word made by the Azath House on the nature of that deal. So maybe the Nameless Ones have been just doing that the entire time, just assuming they know what's best.
Maybe.
Do they claim? Has it been made clear that they claim to speak for the Azath? Is that what you're saying? Because I know they're like
Think
related
of themselves
to it,
as the servants of the Azath, you know, like enacting their will, whatever that may be.
right?
Remains to be seen if they're doing a good job of this or not. That's probably a debatable point. But they certainly have committed a lot of atrocities.
And Terralak Veed, the new character, is introduced then.
He's gross.
He's really gross. He's really gross. He's like the grossest character I've ever read.
Why?
Why do
Why?
we think he's gross, or why is he that gross?
Why does that character why is he the way that he is?
It's just Grawl culture. Like, we had Fiddler pretend to be a Grawl for Deadhouse Gates, right? And that kind of, foreshadows what this guy's going to be like, except for Fiddler wasn't an actual Grawl, so.
But, like, Fiddler and Deadhouse Gates was just crass and loud, right?
Yeah.
He didn't, like, snot into his hands.
Ugh,
and then...
okay. Please.
I like Veed's wife, or not his. No, it wasn't his wife, was it? It was just his to-be lover, and then he killed her husband, and then she just kind of dumped him.
This dude's weird.
He is a jerk.
I liked how different tonally the three different prologue scenes were. I liked getting to see Cartool City and the big spiders between the towers and
the worst city.
The worst city
is like I'm in New York right now. New York sucks. Cartool seems like New York times 50. It is awful.
Is it just like Sydney, Australia? Is that what it's like there? There's just enormous spiders,
now you
and
go
you just kind of have to
all
cope.
the Australians.
I don't think Australians are going around like laming dogs.
Oh, or like stoning lame dogs, wasn't it?
Oh, they also went around and like broke their legs because they needed lame dogs for the stoning.
Yeah, that's the worst custom.
Yeah, not genital mutilation, laming dogs.
Yeah, laming and then stoning dogs, which they have the children do.
We got to see some Drek priests all slaughtered for some reason.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Panda, who do you think slaughtered the Drek priests?
Can you give me multiple choice?
No, I actually can't. There's no way for you to guess this.
No, wait! Don't we get told that by the Soldier of High House Death in like chapter 3? Does he not tell us?
Tell me what you think.
I thought that he said something about she slaughtered all the priests, and it's clear what her, what her stance is. And I don't know if he dropped a name, so I'm not gonna drop a name. But I'm pretty sure I just listened to that part of the book again.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I think you're. I think you're right in your suspicions, Yasna. And I do, now that you mention it, remember that scene. But we'll just let Panda. I don't know, Panda. Do you want us to tell you?
No, I was just like, when I read that, they were like, "Oh yeah, it's pretty obvious." And I'm like, "Cool." I don't know.
I didn't figure it out until it was explicitly told to me in the narrative. So.
Okay, I'll just let the story tell me, and then eventually I'll get it.
Did you like the introduction of Hellion?
I mean, it was fine.
Okay.
She's cool. She's fine. Can I just make one more comment about the spiders?
Yes.
Why? Like, just why? As somebody who, like, I physically react to, like, thinking about killing a spider. Not that I don't want to kill them because they're all, like, cute and stuff, because they're not cute. It's like I'm revolted and I'm filled with horror when I look at a spider. I'm like, I gotta kill you. but I don't want to touch you. I don't want to feel the crunch. It just.
So you're saying if you were in Cartool City, you would be Hellion?
It would be two things. One of two things. I would either be like so immune to spiders and be like, yeah, whatever, or I would just never leave the house.
Oh my god.
Fair. Yeah, no, Cartool City, it sounds like very close to what actual hell is like.
Mm-hmm. Is Erickson a fan?
They're all up in like the sky between the towers.
Yeah, no, they're like floating around and just like is he a fan of spiders? Does he have spider pets? Maybe we should ask.
I don't think he's a fan. I think he's using it for the horror purposes that you. He's counting on people like you existing, and he's wanting to horrify you.
Thanks.
There may be something else though, because he seems to like focus on different aspects of the wildlife in each book.
Yes, but spiders keep coming up.
Just in this book, right?
No, like remember with Iskrol, is it Iskrol Puss?
Yeah, his wife.
Oh, right, Megara. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like was it House of Chains in the prologue? There were like these mentions of giant ones in the
Nascent.
The Nascent.
Aren't they giant catfish in the Nascent?
And mention of spiders.
I am not focused as much on the spiders as you are, clearly. This was the first book where I really noticed it besides Megara. And the Megara ones don't sound scary, especially once you know it's her. You're just like, oh, she's harassing her husband. Okay. But
I'm okay to move on now.
Chapter 1. Apsalar sachets her way back into the story and my heart, making a couple friends on her way to kill a man. Leoman of the Flails fled across the desert, and the Malazan 14th Army followed. Samar Dev is rescued by a big, strong man.
Sachets back into your heart, eh?
Oh, yeah, no. Apsalar, just very top tier romance character for me. Give me like, forget Lady Ash. Just give me that part of Steven Erikson that writes Apsalar. That's my love story right there.
She doesn't listen to these, does she?
Oh, like, I've been trying to get her to read fantasy for so long. She's very slowly making her way through Stormfront now. So it's like, I give it a good 20, 30 years before she starts Malazan.
I want to talk about Curdle and Telerast, or however you say their name.
Yeah.
Telerast and Curdle, yeah.
I love them.
What do you have to say about Curdle and Telerast, Fenda?
They are adorbs.
Yeah?
And a delight. And I definitely like them more than Iskrol Pust. I feel like they fill the role that Pust had in the previous books. And a bit of Krupp. So they're like comic relief, and there's two of them, and their dynamic is very fun.
Mm-hmm.
And they definitely know way too much.
What are you talking? They're just random ghosts.
No.
You skipped the dramatis personae then.
Oh, I never read it at the beginning. Yeah,
I never do either.
Because there's spoilers in there.
Well, there is one that you'll have to read, and that's the Dust of Dreams dramatis personae before you read the book.
Oh, okay. Well, remind me then.
Why?
I'm not going to tell you why. That would spoil it.
Okay.
Tell me. I don't remember.
The Dust of Dreams one? Here, and you know.
You can't tell him while we're here.
Yeah, I can't tell you what. Yeah.
You guys should just forget.
Remind me later, and I'll tell you.
Yeah, I'll just look at it later, and I'll be reminded.
I really liked the way that Apsalar was introduced in this chapter. How we get just like the woman for the whole first scene. Yeah. I think I put it together like when she was crying or something, but it took a minute and you're like trying to figure it out. And is this a new character? Who is this?
I liked it too.
Yeah.
I didn't know until it was told to me.
I like that Telerast and Curdle bring Apsalar out of her sad emo without bringing her all the way out of it. It's such a nice way to balance it, because she could this stage she's going through, in her life where she's sad about being a monster. It could get old real quick if it was just her. But
Hmm.
Any thoughts to what or who Tellerast and Curdle might be?
They were on thrones before. They want their throne back.
They speak Teist and D.
They know of Starval demoling things. Do I have a guess? I don't know. There are too many characters.
sounds like you're close to a guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
But
like
you can
stepped
let that,
right
you
up
can
to a
let that
guess.
marinate.
I stepped right up to a guess. Well, I'm oblivious, so.
Okay.
You already know because you finished the freaking book, don't you?
Yes, I guess why I can't guess.
You-
I probably would have guessed wrong, but that's fine.
Yasa still has no idea.
Hmm.
And
I'm
Ashman
hating-
and I still only know a little bit more.
I know a little bit, and I know enough that I can't answer this question.
That is true.
Hmm.
Is this the chapter where Cotillions walking around like with Edgewalker? Or
No,
not like
that's
that
the
chapter?
next
That's
one.
chapter 2.
But we get introduced to Samar Dev in this chapter.
Yes.
Ah,
Okay,
yeah.
first of all, why would she assume that the footsteps she was hearing in like the middle of nowhere be a child or a woman?
She was pretty delirious at that point, I think.
Uh-huh.
Like, her foot was broken and she was dying of thirst, so I'm gonna give her some slack.
Okay. All right.
Why was her foot broken?
Kicking a wheel or something? Or-
Yeah.
Well, it was
Because
broken. You
broke
gotta
down.
kick it, right?
Almost dies
Uh-huh.
because of that. And that, yeah. When you're in harsh circumstances, that's just how it is, right?
I love how
Yeah.
Karsa's like, "You must make me beneath notice," and then he doesn't try to achieve that at all. Just
Then blames her when when he throws the guy in the cart.
Yeah. Well, first, like, why? Who in their right mind would go up to Karsa, somebody like Karsa, and be like, "Yo, dude, you can't bring your big skulls in here." It's
Hey,
like
get out of here.
maybe you just want to avoid this person altogether.
Like,
I
yeah,
think-
he's dragging two giant hound heads.
Yeah.
So-
Don't touch him.
We've bred little dogs that are like this and roaches like that, so I can only assume that the same people who bred those dogs also bred these city guards. You know, they're tiny and they just bark at you, and then
I guess.
you can throw them into wagons.
it seems so like contradictory too, because you have like the most like lazy drunk city guard right before this with Hellion, and then you get these like super diligent city guards that are just getting themselves killed for no reason, and it's like, really? They care about their job that much?
Well, he's not dead, so there's that.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he just-
Passed
He was
out.
knocked out.
But he could have easily been killed.
Yes, that is true.
It's a big dude.
What
Yeah.
Karsa needed to do if you wanted to sneak in was sashay like Absolar did. I bet Karsa has a gigantic badonkadonk.
It's at least muscular.
Yeah.
I know what you're thinking about.
Very
You're reading.
sculpted.
Yeah, for sure.
It's that meme of Ashaman's girlfriend. I wonder what he's thinking about.
Yeah, just
Thinking
insert
about
Malazan
Karsa
character
Orlong.
here. Yeah.
You know,
No,
when
just
I read
Karsa Orlong's badonkadonk.
when I read that he wanted to be beneath notice, I was like, oh, Karsa's finally getting smart. And that was shattered.
Well, Karsa's smart here. I think it's pretty incontroversial, but he's very direct.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I meant like a subtle kind of smart, which did not happen.
No.
I thought he was like turning a new leaf and,
Yeah.
oh, we're getting some growth here. And
You can change, but you can't change that much.
why did he even say it? Like, what was he thinking?
Who knows?
Well, I think you can tell even just from this chapter that Karsa and Samar are a perfect pair for each other.
Mhm.
Hmm. I do
Foils
really
one,
like
I'd
their
say.
dynamic.
She makes me like Karsa better.
Yes, agreed.
That's a good way of putting it, because somebody's there like to call it as bull.
Mhm.
I do like
and
how
he is there to
so-
call out hers.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
Samar was trying to be very like vague and, keep him out of trouble because she promised him that she was gonna do that, and then he just outs himself.
Mm-hmm. Do we have anything to say about Korab and Leoman? I think they're very boring in these chapters, but
Oh, I
I
don't
do
think
have
so.
a quote
Sure.
for Korab.
mm-hmm.
It's a little bit long, so bear with me. He goes, complicated thoughts. It had taken Korab many hours of frowning regard to reach them, to make that extraordinary leap into the mind of another man, to see through his eyes, if only for a moment before reeling back in humble confusion. He had caught a glimpse then of what He had caught a glimpse then of what made great leaders in battle and matters of state. The facility of their intelligence in shifting perspectives and seeing things from all sides, when for Korab it was all he could manage, truth be told, to cling to a single vision, his own, in the midst of so much discord as the world was wont to rear up before him. And there are two ways that I read this. One is, Korab, you simpleton. He's not the brightest, and as we've seen before, he's just surviving on dumb luck, basically. But then
Okay.
there's a more serious way to read this, which is like, sometimes the world is just too much, and all you can really focus on and grasp is what you know, what you think, who you are, instead of trying to like understand and encompass all the different perspectives around you. So there's a balance, but in this case, Korab is more on the simpler side.
I would say willfully ignorant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that Leoman tries to expose the willfulness of that ignorance in a few of these scenes. I don't know if it's in this chapter, but he like pokes at Korab a few times throughout the chapters we read, and like catches glimmers of wisdom in some of the things that Korab says. And then like Korab doesn't realize he said anything wise, or
Yeah.
it's like he's just like, okay, I'm gonna go trip on this insect that I ate, and it's making me hallucinate now. And
Oh
meanwhile,
yeah.
he's like giving Liam these ideas, and he's like
Leave it at the
making
feathers.
these acute observations that he just doesn't realize he's made. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Pure dumb luck. Yeah, I disagree completely, Ash. I think Korban and Leoman's conversations are really interesting, and Korab as a character is just, I think he's really interesting into the idea of somebody who's like really sold into this idea, and yeah, that's it.
Wait, where's the disagreement with me?
You said that these sections are really boring.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll probably have more say about them in like as we get further in, but not at the moment.
There
Not
was
sure.
an observation that Korab made that was just so depressing, and it was about like, how the people of the seven cities like quickly relinquished their freedom, even though it cost so many lives to get them that freedom. And then it's like, okay, what is the point of all this? Like, how many tens of thousands of people died, and for what?
No, freedom and like heavy air quotes, right?
yeah.
The
What
apocalypse wasn't great.
Well, not only that, but like when you actually look into what these people want to be free to do, it's like sell our children and have child slaves in these cults and like all these like it's like not freedom for who.
That's true. But then I think there's the like deeper thought here, which is a lot of people died, but for what
Mhm.
purpose, really?
Yeah. Should I trot out a historical example?
Yes,
Will this
please.
cause Huron to roll his
Make
eyes too much?
make Huron's day.
The French Revolution. Look
Uh-huh.
at this. You have people espousing revolutionary ideas at the time, getting rid of nobility. They renamed all the months, stuff like that, and it was chaos in the nation of France for a long time. And at a certain point, people just got tired of it, and they wanted just stability and peace again. So A small Corsican man was able to roll up and declare himself emperor, and he was very popular for a very long time, despite the fact that he was pretty ruthless dictator, which goes against pretty much, well, a lot of the ideals of the French Revolution in the first place.
Yeah.
Good example.
Thank you. I could tie it back to Rome if you want.
Yasu's not doing his job.
Oh, to move us along and say no one cares. So
Are we? Is this going to become a drinking game? Every
Of
time
what?
Rome is
All I got is water.
mentioned.
Oh man, that would be an excellent drinking game, I think. It'd really motivate me to trot out more examples.
Okay, never mind. That backfired. I'm kidding.
So, is there anything else for chapter 1 of the Bonehunters?
No.
Nope.
Is this the first? I have one question, I guess. I'm not doing any of my quotes, but is this scene with Absalor at the very end of the chapter the first time that we are given the hint that the Nameless Ones may have been around since the time of the First Empire, or may have some connection to Lether?
I would think the first hint we get is when they released Dejim Nabral in the first place, but there's more
Okay.
here. Yeah, because like Dejim Nabral is like he was imprisoned since the time of the First Empire, basically, right? So
Right.
how do
that's
they
true.
know where he was and how to free him?
I don't know.
And
Maybe it's in
they-
like some scroll of Gothos Folly. I didn't even think
It
about
probably is.
that. All right, chapter 2. Read us the
Chapter-
summary.
Chapter 2. Cotillion has a few conversations with beings nearly as old as time itself. Ikarian and Mappo continue their wandering ways. Grey Frog protects his women from bandits. We do a bit of catching up with the 14th, along with their new recruits, Kalam and Quick Ben. Grey Frog appreciation moment.
I love Great Frog.
Calling
Grey
all
Frog's a boy.
Grey Frog appreciators.
I loved that he ate the heads off the bandits.
And sucked out their brains.
I used that in my D&D campaign.
Disgusting. Like
He also ate a bunch of wasps.
I
Black
like
wasps.
That's just a good citizen right there.
I like his feigning ignorance with mostly just Crocus.
You know
Yes.
who Grey Frog reminds me of? The
Yes,
Elcor from Mass Effect. He always tells you what emotion he's trying to convey.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, get the same voice actor who did the Elcor for Grey Frog. I think you have an excellent time.
You think he plays it that monotone?
No, I think he's much more colorful, but I think it would be fun.
Yeah, I imagine someone very, very, very colorful. But
Michael
great.
Page narrates it pretty colorfully, so.
And he is very horny as well, which I can sympathize with. And he's just kind of just like a good bro to Cutter as well. You know, he realizes eventually that he doesn't have a shot with Solara and Felicity Younger. So you know what? He's gonna protect his bro while his bro has kids with them, of course.
I don't know if I like Grey Frog or not.
Because he's so scary.
Yeah, well, I guess as a character, he's entertaining.
Mhm.
But like, if Grey Frog were real, like, would I
Hmm.
want to be associated with him at all?
No,
Absolutely not.
no, he's horrifying.
Like, do you remember how like terrified Felicin and
Solara.
Solara were when he took out those bandits?
Yes, but
they've
like,
seen,
you know,
they've seen some stuff.
I mean, on the one hand, it's like, yeah, I would want this creature on my side, but like, I don't think I actually want anything to do with Grey Frog.
I thought it was very cathartic when the bandits rode up and Solara was like, I'll handle this, don't hurt Felicity Younger. And then Grey Frog just eats them because they're bastards.
Yeah, I like that.
Like, I'm all for compassion, but like, I sort of draw the line at people who rape women on the road. So I'm just very happy to see them get killed and have their brains sucked out.
Well,
It seemed like
I
Solara
did-
was okay with it though.
Well, so I thought about that. I was like, why is she like offering herself up to them? And one possibility is that, like, she knew she was pregnant, and it was by Bidethol. And so,
Corporal
or,
Dom.
Carbolodon.
or Carbolodom.
Or one of his men.
The
I don't
other,
think
the other.
Bidethal
things.
has sex with them. I think he.
I
Actually,
wouldn't-
does she
It's-
even really know? Anyway,
She doesn't
No.
really know. She just assumed it's Dom.
So, in my mind, the reason that she did it is because while she was working for Bidethol, that was just like what she did all the time to get information about Corporal Adam and his men to spy on people for Bidethol, and she's just like used to acquiescing and submitting, and is like, oh, it's not so bad. I've been through it before, so let's just do it so nobody has to get hurt. It's like this like pattern of behavior that she's.
It's also something
which
that
is
she
one
can do for
possibility. But the other one that I was thinking of is like it would be kind of erasing like the Bidethol or Corbelodom, whichever one. And she could pretend potentially that it was one of the bandits that's the father instead of whoever it was, because
Yeah, that's an
it
interesting
would
reading.
be almost better. Yeah,
Yeah, I
which
think
is not
it's
great.
probably a variety of. Yeah, no, this is not a great situation. It's probably a variety of factors. I think that's actually really good reading. I think it might be self-worth. It might be protection for Fallison. It might be literally just she doesn't want to see any more killing. Like that shows how horrified she was by Grey Fog's actions. Like, yeah, these guys probably deserve it, but
Well, I was going to say that would really depend on if the Napa and blue skin is a dominant trait or a recessive one, but she's not a geneticist. She's just a person, so it's not like everybody has that information in Malazan, right? So
She
Yeah.
didn't grow like pea plants in her backyard and observe which ones had the traits. No,
I bet the Jackets have done experiments.
it probably.
What else happened? Oh, this chapter had tons of mystery making and like mystery stuff and like mystery.
Information.
Yeah, because
Mhm.
like we meet Edgewalker, who's really cool, and we're just like, who is this guy, right? And
Hood.
You think he's Hood? Okay.
Hood just wanders around the Shadow Realm.
New mysterious character shows up. It's got to be Hood always.
How many times has Hood come up?
Too many.
Hood
And
is
then-
just a master of disguise and like juggling multiple balls at this point.
Calumet's actually Hood. That's the. Yeah, no, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and Calibed's in this chapter, and we see him and Pust interacting, and Pust is just being Pust. And then Cotillion seemingly goes off and does his own thing without Kellenbed knowing,
Mhm.
which is interesting to me. And his own thing is apparently talking to 3 dragons that have been like
Imprisoned.
exactly.
I
It's like, hey,
forgot
what a big
Pust
deal.
was in this chapter. That's actually what I was referring to when I said, "Oh, you didn't read the Dramatis Persona yet."
Oh,
I
see.
forgot he's already in here at this point.
Gotcha.
That scene was hilarious because he's sitting there talking crap about Kellenbed while Kellenbed's sitting there.
And Shaston's just watching him. Just, who is this man? Why? He's my high priest? Really? This is the best I can find?
Oh.
Fine, I guess you'll have to do. God, go away.
I
Please.
like how Kellenbed gets so perturbed by Pust, but Cotillion is just sitting there watching, like, with a knowing, sort of calm demeanor, and he's, like, totally fine with it and patient. I don't know.
I think it's one of those things where people who are similar to each other really hate each other.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, that's Pust and Kellenbed. Armanis.
So, what did we actually learn out of this the dragon thing?
We learned that Cotillion's doing something and he's making deals. He's looking for. We learned that the 3 dragons were trying to, or at least according to Edgewalker, they were trying to fix Curl Demelon.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They
By
also had
taking the
interesting
throne, right?
names, right?
They had
Oh,
very
wow.
interesting names, yeah.
Yeah.
Ampalus, Kals,
Yeah,
and
they
Elos.
seem to be linked with the Warrens. And they did what Cruel asked of them. Cruel, of course, being the being who created the Warrens in the first place. They're also salty that Solana is buddies with Animander.
Yeah, Solana is the only Elaint that we've seen so far that's not crucified, right?
That's like out and about. I don't think these dragons aren't crucified. They're just imprisoned, right?
There's the undead dragon.
Oh, that's true.
Wasn't that confirmed to be a soul taken IMAS though?
It was.
So right, Elaint specifically.
Yeah, good point.
So I'm wondering if Solanda not being imprisoned / crucified has something to do with the fact that she's buddies with Animander Rake, and if there's something to that. I don't know.
It definitely didn't hurt her chances.
Right.
Well, didn't they mentioned Rake?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In connection with Solanda. Yeah.
Well, Vengeance and Anamandaris is why
Yes.
they are.
His full name is
They are
Anamandaris
imprisoned.
Herake, which is even more ridiculous of a name.
Oh my goodness.
It's not used very often, thankfully.
Except for every time Fisher's mentioned.
Yeah. Well, Fisher is
Also,
pretentious.
The cripple god is an elder? Question mark.
Maybe. I forgot where this came up.
Cotillion. Cotillion asked the dragons, "Is the cripple god an elder?" And there was
right.
silence.
Because they were asking if they were forces of nature. Or an elemental force of nature. And Edgewalker apparently is.
Mm-hmm.
Or so he
And yet-
claims to be.
Cotillion managed to surprise him.
Yeah, Cotillion had this one part that I quoted. Cotillion found he was holding his breath. He had taken a twisted path to this question, and had made discoveries along the way. So much to think about, in fact, that his mind was numb, besieged by all that he had learned. And I just thought, yes, my mind is numb too, because I don't understand what all this mumbo jumbo the dragons
Yeah,
are
you're
talking
not
about.
meant to. It's just meant to kind of sow some seeds and also display sort of the state that Cotillion's at the moment. He's not. He doesn't know it all, but he's pretty heckin' smart, and he does have a plan. And he's been thinking about these things for a long time, and you can sort of extend that to Shadow Throne, although Shadow Throne is, of course, more mysterious.
Shadow Throne, like the real Shadow Throne, or
Amanus,
As in, yeah,
the guy who is composed mostly of shadows at this point.
Yeah, this is not confusing at all.
I can't get a read.
So my favorite scene was the dragon scene for sure. But to draw us away from cool stuff to something that really stuck out to me in this chapter, Mappo and his thought process in this book compared to where it was in Dead House Gates, you can really feel his sense of futility and
He's so tired.
pathos just way deepened compared to Dead House Gates. He's so just
he's a broken man.
Broken.
Bros who are broken, but Ikaria's forgotten.
That would suck. I don't want that job.
Yep.
Even if I would love to be friends with Ikariam.
I'm not sure I could be friends with Ikariam.
If I was
Mappo, I would have left him to the Azathos and be like, sorry, you've committed too many genocides. We get back to the 14th. I assume, Panda, you were very happy to meet your old friends again.
Yes.
I like Smiles. That's my note for this reread.
I know that you would like Smiles. I don't care much for Smiles.
I didn't like her on the first read through.
Really?
Yeah, but it is pretty hilarious that she threw a
she's
dagger.
funny.
It hit Korik in the calf, and she's like, "I didn't mean to do that." And then she throws another dagger. That's where I meant to get him.
Didn't she miss with that one?
She got him between the edge, it was between the legs.
On the ground.
So she meant to scare him, but she
stabbed him instead. Which
That's what happens when you throw daggers.
yeah.
So I like that the tone of that banter resonates very differently than the tone of the banter in House of Chains.
They're very angry right now.
Yeah, they're on edge and they're all about to kill each other. And it's they're trying to pass it off as oh, we're just soldiers palling around. I'm gonna kill you. You know, it's so tense.
I mean, like, I can only imagine that, like, building up to the kind of confrontation they were building up to at the end of House of Chains, and then having that taken away from you, that would be quite an experience. I don't blame them for feeling
And now they have to march
pissed
again.
right now as well. Yeah, now they have to keep going across the desert,
And,
this
like,
miserable desert.
the only action most of them saw, they did like come out pretty well, in terms of like militarily for the most part, except for the fact that their fist wandered into the battle and like got exploded and then died of an aneurysm. So like that was it. That's all they got out of all that buildup is that one engagement. Besides, like a few of them were in that like one engagement where Hedge came and saved Fiddler or whatever with the Tice.
They've got
the ocean.
tactical blue balls.
Yeah.
What was that? What was the name of the fist that exploded?
Gamut?
Yeah.
It,
The
it
House
was the captain.
Piran
It was the
bodyguard.
captain. Sorry.
Oh,
Kinnip?
No.
no.
No, exploded.
It starts
Oh.
with an L.
List?
Loser.
No.
I forget his
No.
name.
It's the
He was
guy.
a jerk, though.
It's a lieutenant, right? Like the guy who was really not good, and he would be like, "Okay, you guys go do this thing," and then he would go and like,
Renal.
"Oh, Renal." There we go.
Yeah, it was Renal.
Captain unimportant.
He loomed pretty large in House of Chains, despite in the end being rather unimportant. He was like a big pain in their butts, and
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
a Spectre, but like functionally, you could remove him from the story and it wouldn't be very different.
right.
Well, in this chapter it was really good reading between Fid and Kalam and Quickbin, and then he was talking about Cuddle just being not pleasant to be around, and he says that's what Cuddle's afraid of. He's convinced we're all going to end up wearing Renal before this is done. Renal? Oh, right. Cuddle got Renal all over.
I wonder if they've gotten to have a bath since then, or if they're
Probably
just
not.
still have his viscera and bits on him.
I liked how I like the tension also between Fid and Quickbin and Kalam, because they've all gone through so much like stuff apart from each other before this meeting.
Now they
and
have to separate again.
it doesn't quite have the same like tone to their interactions that it did in like Gardens or.
It doesn't help that Quickben is also just kind of being passively infuriating.
But that's what he's always like.
It is what he's always like. But there's times when that kind of thing is a lot more bearable than others.
And they're all kind of oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
They're all kind of keeping secrets from each other too.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least Fid and Kalam are.
Guess who's keeping the most secrets?
Or-
It's Quickben.
Quickben and Kalam. I meant to say. Yeah, I don't think he's explained anything about like Talmandaris or the little acorn guy. Is that what his name is?
No.
Oh, the
What Quickben does is he finds things out and he never tells anybody about it unless
Yeah.
he absolutely has to.
Yeah.
So he's like their friend, but he keeps them in the dark all the time.
And like, how much does Quickben know about that Kalam's so tied in with House Shadow? And you know, it's like I don't think that any of them are being straight with each other anymore.
I think if Quickben was told, he would claim he knew all along.
Yeah. And okay, let's be fair to Quickben, or I'll be fair to Quickben for my remarks earlier. This does definitely have a purpose. He does it is a smart move for him to keep these cards close to his chest. It's just frustrating for his friends.
Yeah, but that's not anything new.
No.
Anybody got anything else for chapter 2?
I did like the acknowledgement of, to make it feel more real, how close like Fiddler and Hedge were. And just the loss of Hedge's. I mean, we saw Fiddler like have a breakdown in an earlier book, and I feel for him.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes in the last book.
Because we don't actually see Fiddler and Hedge together much at all, like prior to this. Like, it's almost all been Fiddler post Hedge, which I think is interesting. But
they have like a couple scenes in Gardens, and that's it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is just people talking about Fiddler or Hedge, or Fiddler thinking about Hedge.
Or Hedge thinking about Fiddler, I think, in Memory's
Ah,
Vice.
yeah, a little bit in Memory's Vice, yeah.
Chapter 3. Excellent. Absalar does some detective work. Karsa murks a demon. Leoman makes some plans around Yugatan. Strings asks Bottle some hard questions. Kalam and Quick Ben encounter some lizards.
Lizards. What
Yep.
kind of lizards?
The big ones that are in Skykeeps. Although it's
Kachane.
not, yeah. That when they talk about the Kachane, it's in a later chapter, but like they see them in the Imperial War and like, wow, that looks bad.
So, Panda, let me see it. Let me see how well I know you. if I've got your humor for these books down yet or not. Did you laugh when Bottle was trying to escape from Nil and Nether, and Fiddler's like, "But what did you do? Like, why is she so mad at you?" And he's like, "I made a terrible mistake. I agreed with her mother."
I agree with this one. Yes.
Yeah.
I love those scenes.
That's so funny.
The note in my Kindle, the camera's there, just says bet Panda laughed at that part.
Yeah, because they get out. He gets to the scene, and like Nether is getting like choked out by some spirit, and it turns out it's her mother, and she told her to get married and have babies, and that's not going to make anybody happy.
Yep.
Then
And then
Bolt shows up.
Then Bolt, as a dog, shows up and tells her the exact same thing. And finally, Bottle says it again. It's just good joke.
Well, Bottle doesn't just say it. He's like, "Well, your whole tribe died off, and you
He
need to
was trying to be
repopulate."
logical and
It
reasonable.
stands to reason.
But Nether is
Right.
unfortunately a teenage girl.
She's like a centuries-old teenage girl, though,
Yeah, she's going through puberty a second time.
or
Like,
third
I
or
don't-
fourth, or however many times.
Yeah, in the cycles, she's gone through period this X times. But yeah, I can't imagine it's ever fun to be told that, no matter how quote reasonable it is.
No,
To be
it's
told, go
not.
get married and have babies.
Do you have
I mean,
experience with Panda?
I laughed in pain.
Oh, did you? Was it this? This probably wasn't the chapter, but did you enjoy the mention of Apsalar's monthly visits?
Yes, I did acknowledge, like, this is actually something that fleshes her out as a female character.
Yeah, because it's like periods are never brought up in fantasy, right?
That's
Very
becoming a
rarely.
lot more common now.
Yeah, very rarely from the books that I've read written by men does it come up. But by females, it comes up more.
Yeah, it's like this, and like it's a big deal in George R. R. Martin stuff. But that's like it, as far as I remember.
I think it's like
the authors of that age.
7 books I've read in the last couple of years of fantasy, including this one, and like half of them are by men. But I think in more like in darker fantasy that's trying to be more realistic, it tends to come up more. In the like polished heroic fantasy, it often will not come up.
You gotta wonder if elves have periods.
Let's move on.
Why don't you ask Professor Craig?
I think Professor Craig will not appreciate the question.
I'm gonna ask him now.
Yeah, here and you ask.
Is it mentioned at all in the Silmarillion?
No. But it is nice how casually it's brought up and
Yeah.
because she's not like acting like a monster. It's just
No.
this is what she's going through at the moment.
This is just what it is. It's natural.
Maybe it had something to do with her crying earlier.
Mm.
She drinks and is sad for a while.
Is chocolate a thing in Malazan world?
I don't think it's been mentioned.
Yeah, I don't think so.
If it was, it probably wasn't called chocolate. Maybe
It would be
like
a delicacy
something
if it
sweet
was.
made from beans or something.
Mm-hmm.
I like Karsa's impromptu fight club with the Kachane.
Naruk.
Yeah.
That giant lizard demon thingy.
The demon. It's a Kachane Naruk.
A short tail. Yeah.
Do they call it by name?
No, they don't.
They do call it a short tail, though.
Okay.
So.
They don't do that either. They call it a demon, but it's referred to as having a short tail. But putting it together with the Kachane Naruk Skykeep that we find out in a chapter or two is crashed nearby. It's like, and that, yeah.
There's they show up 3 separate times. Well, Kachane show up 3 separate times in these chapters.
Yeah.
Once in the Imperial War and once with Akari and Mappo, and once here.
I love the scene where he's like witness, and then we get to the guard's perspectives, and he's like, "Oh my god, he just cut through the iron door."
Yeah.
And then they don't see anything that he does in there. They just hear what's going on.
You're like, oh, I bet that savage is, committing atrocities and
Killing them.
Like, it's just classic comedy. You hear stuff going on, and people are just like, you only see their reaction.
Yeah.
Steve does excellent physical comedy. Like I don't think a lot of fantasy authors don't do it well. I don't think.
He the fight scene itself too was really over the top. He's like falling down and and then like he falls and he totally doesn't even acknowledge that he missed all the giant iron spikes like sticking out of the ground in the pit of crap that he falls in. And they're like just like wailing on each other and like bleeding everywhere, and they're still going at it. They have like 3 different fights, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it like
passes
separated into,
out.
like,
It kicks him away. He passes out, and then he comes to find it like staggering from side to side, and he just finishes it off. Yeah, it's
so involved.
So as that scene's really, really, really fun and really cool and really funny. But I actually like the one in the later chapter where they're like taking it apart.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like Karsa's really extra though, because he had his sword and he threw it away,
Mm-hmm.
so he could fight it with his hands.
I was thinking that too. I'm like, my God, Carson, what is wrong with you?
He knows what he's.
He's confident.
He knows who he is. He knows what he can do, and he knew that he could fight this thing. He could take it.
Did we completely skip the part where Absalar finds the person dead that she was supposed to kill, and then
Yeah, we did skip that. Yeah.
I mentioned something from the end of that scene, but yeah, we otherwise skipped right over it.
okay.
It's a good time to talk about it all now, though, because her stuff right here ties into that pretty directly. It's Membra.
Well, and then
You remember Membra?
Mm-hmm. No, actually.
He's from Dead House
Membra.
Gate. He's the one that gave Kalam the book of Trishna.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
But
That dude.
he was also in House of Chains, and he did something else there. I forget what.
He's been playing all sides.
Yeah, he's pretty scummy.
Every angle.
And it turns out he was gunning for the Throne of Shadow. So
Wait, Mebra is part of the Trigal Trade Guild, or no? No.
No, the Trigal Trade Guild shareholders show up to where Mebra got assassinated to poke around when she's returning to the scene. Yeah.
Right.
And she beats them up, and then while they're passed out, she goes and finds the tablets, including the one where he's worried that Heporic is going to doom them all.
Right. But then
I loved her.
Mhm.
I loved her logic after she like beat the crap out of him. She's like, I can't kill him. Like they gotta give a message to their boss. I actually did the best thing for them in this situation while getting what I wanted.
So what throne did Telerast and Curdle see that they don't want to talk about?
I don't know.
toilet.
I just thought
The
Shadow
porcelain
throne. The porcelain throne.
Which Shadow throne? The
real
real one or
one.
the Mianis one?
The real one.
which one is Shadow Throne sitting on? The real one? Is he just pretending to sit on the fake one?
How infuriating is this book?
Well, yeah, that's actually a good question because he put his buddy Traveler guarding the real one. So he could very easily be sitting on both of them.
Well, that's what I think Cotillion tells that to the dragons at one point. And they're like, "Oh, maybe this guy's smarter than we thought."
Yeah, they're like, well, the throne's not here in this shard of Curl and
Earl Demerlon.
Yes.
So why is the real Shadow Throne not even in Kurald Emerlon?
'Cause
It's
Kurald
on
Emerlon-
Drift
It's
Savali.
so complicated.
So they just took the throne and stuck it in the real world, or does it have a reflection in its own shard of Emerlon as well?
I bet Amanas just is doing things that are illogical just to throw people off, or he
think
doesn't
sprinkles
understand
that in.
what's going on, so that it makes people think that he knows what's going on.
Oh wait, I know the answer to my own question. Rake would have put it there.
Andrus
Drift
was
Valley.
guarding it.
Yeah. And Rake knew about that, and he had like a claim on like that, like he wanted to keep the throne unoccupied.
Yes.
The way Andrus goes out is so funny to me because he's like such an important being.
Or
And he
Andrist.
Yeah, we just show up in the story and he gets killed by some nobodies.
Been there for
But he
hundreds
did his
of
job.
Thousands
he-
hundreds of thousands of years, right? Yeah, he
died
did do his
doing
job. Yeah. He died at the most convenient time. Well done, Andrus.
With grief.
With grief.
I have one quote. I'd like to share it because there's a character that I love that we have not seen yet. He says, "Well, I'm off to gossip with Flashwit and Uruhela. Flash said she saw nefarious bread a couple days ago. A horse had died and he carried it back to his squad camp. They roasted it, nothing but bones left." Nefarious bread is a legend.
Nefarious bread is hardcore.
I'm not convinced nefarious bread actually exists.
Me neither.
What are you talking
Got a lot
about?
of
Smiles
stories.
saw nefarious bread the other day.
I don't believe it. I think nefarious bread is the worst game of telephone ever. It's not real.
You better hope that, or else nefarious bread's going to come after you.
I'm gonna say
the
his name
boogeyman.
into the mirror 3 times. Oh, I was going for Bloody Mary.
Oh.
Beetlejuice.
And do we have Strings doing what he can't do to Quick Ben? He does to Bottle. He sits him down. He's like, okay, tell me what you're about now. Stop being so shady. There's no reason for this.
Craig answered.
Does he ever really stop being so shady, or does he just do what Quickbin does and give him enough to go on? That's it.
Oh, Bottle?
Yeah, he never tells Fiddler everything.
He has more forced out of them than he would like.
Sure.
Craig
Anybody-
answered, Aaron?
Voss? Oh yeah, he answered. They probably
What?
do, but like every 400 years.
Elves have periods.
It's canon now.
Um,
Part of the Tolkien estate? I think so.
So does anybody else have anything from Chapter 3?
9.
Let's go to Chapter 4.
Chapter 4. Ikariam and Mappo explore Skykeep. Cutter encounters Hood's soldier. Apsalar and Urko share some tea. The remnants of the apocalypse arrive at and seize Ygotten.
How do you say that?
Ygotten?
Yeah,
I will never say it that way. It's Egaton.
I hate
I
that.
say you got done.
I just
You
don't
guys are
say it.
brainwashed by Steven Erickson to say it the right way, but it's wrong. Erickson's not right.
Okay.
It looks like Egaton. There's even an apostrophe that would be like that little pause between the E and the G. You know, it doesn't
English,
look like
English has never had consistent pronunciations.
I hate it.
The city that drinks the blood of Malazans.
Yeah.
It's got a
Yeah.
little deep history.
Dude, did Leoman? Is this the chapter where Leoman like cuts the Falad's head off?
Yep.
That's how. Yeah, that was abrupt.
It's just how
Where you
Leoman operates, man. Couldn't have that
Well,
guy going around thinking that
Lehman
he
wanted
was
to
in
be
charge.
there, and the Falad definitely did not want him there. So what else are you gonna do?
So this
Who's
is
Dud
the
Sparrow.
yeah.
I don't know. That's all I'm gonna say. Sorry. You continue.
This is like one of the best Malazan chapters that we've read ever. It's so good. I love the Skykeep exploration. I love Urko. I love just every single part of this chapter. It really felt like cool to let the setting breathe a little bit when there's not like just imminent danger, like big epic convergences like happening. It was a lot of fun.
What was your favorite part of this chapter?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
I don't really remember all that much.
Hmm.
Just continue talking.
There's cool tech in the Sky Keep.
Yeah, they
Cool.
had like the anti-gravity bridge
Yeah, gravity manipulating
That was
technology.
pretty cool.
Wow.
and the crucified sky dragon.
Yeah.
Cirque. And he also goes to Urko's place, and Teleras and Curdle get some bones.
Hmm.
They possess some bones.
And they show Urko how those creatures walked. That was nice
And
of them.
Urko was like, "Damn it, no, I gotta
you got
tear down
excited.
a wall." And
I get
well,
to
that's
tear
true.
down
He
this
got
wall now.
excited
Now,
and rearrange my skeleton.
were the bones like that they possessed? Like, were they like little baby Kachain, or were they just unrelated lizards that walked similarly that showed him how the Kachain Shamal would stand?
I got the feeling that they were not infants, but tiny Kachain. But we know that there are lots of different types of Kachain.
Hmm. They did
So-
do a lot of genetic experiments on themselves.
It could also
Right.
just be a
Yeah,
smaller breed.
Hmm.
They freaking have swords for hands. Like,
Yeah.
Those are only the
That's only
Calhotters.
one type. Yeah,
Right,
the
but, like,
Calhunters.
I mean, that's surgical, right?
Yep. That was not naturally occurring.
I would hope not.
Would you like to give
Yeah.
birth to that?
So this is
Very transhumanist. Or
my
trans-
last
Trans
my
Kachain?
last note
Mm-hmm.
is from Urko,
Mm-hmm.
and he says, "Possession? He possessed you? The god possessed you?" And then my phone stopped. And he said, "Hood, pluck his balls and chew slow." And I love that as a curse. I love all the variations of like Hood's balls, Hood's breath, Hood's this, but Hood pluck his balls and chew slow is up there.
That's a pretty good one.
I wouldn't want Hood doing that to me.
I just really like the conversation between Sorrow and Urko discovering her backstory, and then like her dealing with it, and then like Cotillion kind of happened to deal with that too, and I think it's quite complicated and interesting.
And she turns Urko's saying back against him.
Yep.
She leaves before he's had enough, and he complains about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she calls him out on it.
And he, you know what? It's bad for him to serve someone poison tea. I'm just gonna. That's a hill
Yeah.
I'm prepared to die on. You know.
Yeah.
Let me get the antidote for the antidote.
He was not very nice at all at first, but I still
No.
liked him.
He slammed the door in her face.
He's interesting, and he's really into paleontology, which is I think pretty cool.
Yes.
My favorite section from this, and it's not even close, is when we get a visit from the Soldier of High House Death, or High House Edgewalker now.
Yeah.
A
Segula.
fair warning for any of our listeners, this doesn't come up very much in the Book of the Fall, and if you want to know more, you need to read Orb Scepter Throne.
I was just about to ask that.
That's by Esselmont.
Yeah.
It's
By
my favorite of
Ice.
his. It's really good.
So let's be specific here, because I had two questions about what comes up from this scene later in the Book of the Fallen, and if it doesn't, where else do I read? One was about the soldier and what he was hunting. Is that what you just were referencing? Or were you referencing the Darujistan stuff with the ruling
You will
council?
understand that if you read the novels of the Malazan Emperor.
Both things?
Whom he's hunting? Yeah.
Okay. So the Darujistan stuff, does that ever come back up anywhere?
That is Orb Scepter Throne as well.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. So you have something to look forward to.
Yep.
They
Good. Just
he
gotta
just,
finish
like-
Reaper's Gale before I can read the next one.
He just like threw in these breadcrumbs here and was like, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah.
Here,
Go read.
here, Ice. You can take it.
Yep.
Right, this
Cool
is
too, though.
before-
Like it's an undead Segula who just shows up in the middle of nowhere, yelling about hunting something.
Yeah.
Like
So
That's cool.
he didn't just throw these breadcrumbs in there for a reader to tell the reader, go read Esselmont. He threw these breadcrumbs in here for Esselmont and said, "Hey, you want to write a book about that?" This is an invitation to Esselmont, like, "Hey, are you going to pick this up?" And he said that not every invitation that's in here is something that Esselmont actually has taken
Right.
up. So there's going to be breadcrumbs in here that we're never going to
Just-
get answers on.
Mhm,
Or at
okay.
least, if we are, it hasn't been published yet.
Yeah,
You know.
Steve is very much a student of history, not all threads are going to be followed through, even though some may seem promising at the time. And some only got resolved or picked up again in The God Is Not Willing.
Or even
Later.
Harkness books.
Yes.
And yeah, because at this point, the only novel of the Malazan Empire that's out is Knight of Knives.
Yeah.
So there is no Orb Scepter throne yet.
Mm-hmm. Return of the Crimson Guard, being the first novel of the Malazan Empire, I believe, and that picks up pretty directly after.
No, Knight of Knives is the first one.
No, novels of the Malazan Empire aren't the same as the Path to Ascendancy.
Knight of Knives is
Knight of
not
Knives
part
is
of Paths
not.
to Ascendancy.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It's the first novel of the Malazan Empire, and it's the only thing that is published when this was written.
Hmm.
And Edgewalker is pulled from Knight of Knives into this. And then the stuff here with the Segula, presumably according to Huron, is pulled from Esselmont into Orb Scepter Throne.
Okay. Chapter 5?
Chapter 5.
That kind of looks like you have something to say.
Before we move on,
Mm-hmm.
going back to Mappo and Ikarium and like exploring the Sky Keeps, you know how it was like there was this veil and they're like, well, I put my sword through and it comes back so clean. And then Mappo's like, what if I just put a little finger? And then the whole hand. I want to see that scene visually.
Yeah, it's very easy to visualize too. I could picture it, and to me that was totally where the DM is like, you see a veil, what do you do? There's just a white screen. You can't see what's beyond it, and the player characters are like, well, I'll put a coin in there, and they're trying to like figure out. Like,
I don't hear anything.
how do you explore without dying? And then the DM's like, just go through the veil. I'm not gonna kill you.
Except Mappo almost dies because there was like a cliff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. But was
Anyway.
was there a bridge with that cliff, or was that was later?
I think it was a cliff, and then they had to figure out how to get across.
Mm.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought that was funny. Okay, we can move on now. Bye.
Excellent. Chapter 5. Samar Dev performs a dissection and accidentally convinces Karsa to destroy a city. Kalam and Quick Ben are tasked to look at those lizards some more. Joyful Union is murdered in cold blood, pissing off nearly all the foot soldiers in the 14th. Absolar encounters another familiar face from the past. Cutter finds out Solara is pregnant.
I was so mad that she stepped on Joyful Union. It was so unceremonious. It just happened out of nowhere. And I was so pissed. And I was pissed at Erickson because I hate scorpions. And somehow this guy made me care about this scorpion so much that I like had to put the book down and process when this happened. I was so mad.
Yeah, and Joyful Union got like maybe like a couple sentences where it's actually on the page and doing stuff. Yeah, it's a hell of a character introduction to Ferret and Sword, though.
She's the worst.
He
like
made
her.
it a very uphill battle for me to like her, because at this moment I was like, the soldiers of the Malazan army are going to kill you and they're going to get a new captain. I was mad.
Wasn't she talking to Strings? And she's like, I don't care how many, how many officers you've killed. He's like, I haven't killed, or how many officers you've stabbed in the back.
He's like, I haven't stabbed any in the back.
Or I haven't stabbed any in the back.
Yeah.
I like that Bottle mouthed off to her, and then she's like, what's your name, soldier? And he's like, Smiles.
Smiles. And
then
then
she
Bottle
tells-
plays it off like, "Oh, I'm doing Smiles a favor by taking the extra pack." I'm like,
Yeah,
because
"You
Bottle's a
little
jerk."
son of a."
I mean, she did throw a dagger at Korik.
Yeah, but Korik was asking for it,
Yeah.
Tar told him what was going to happen. Yeah, Ferret and Sword. Hey, at least she is more competent seeming than Renal. I mean, hey, she stood on the storm wall.
Okay, I was wondering if they brought that up in these chapters or not.
Yeah.
I didn't get this far in my reread. So.
Oh, I see. Well, like I was thinking if the death of Joyful Union was metaphorical, like symbolic to what was happening to the Malazan soldiers.
Could be what's the
Steve's attempted erotica?
never mind. Just go on. Could be a premonition.
Yeah, maybe.
He forecast the entire end of House of Chains in the last scene with Joyful Union. So
For our listeners, Penna just did like the longest face palm.
I did.
I think she agrees with me, and she just doesn't want to admit it.
I mean, I can see why you would think that Joyful Union, but no.
Getting stepped on by a big domineering lady he's gonna straighten you out. Yeah.
I can't.
I don't even know what the joke is. I think I missed something.
Ash thinks it's erotica.
Yeah, this scene was Steve's attempt at erotica.
Oh.
I dare you to bring that up to him. See
I
what
think
he
he would
says.
laugh. I think he would laugh or be unamused.
I think he
And
would be
either
unamused.
Either would be okay with me.
I'll be laughing. Grub is weird.
Yeah. What's up with Grub?
Is Grub Cotillion? Not Cotillion. Coltane.
Grub is not Hood.
I know Grub is not Hood.
No, Grub is too old to be Coltane.
Grub, yeah, Coltane is like a baby right now.
But Grub is like, but they grow fast. Like Silver Fox grew fast.
Silver Fox is a special case.
So Grub is Keneb's kid, and they were with Kalam in the Imperial Warren before Coltane died in Deadhouse Gates.
That is not true.
What?
Grub isn't Keneb's kid. Keneb just like adopted Grub, right?
Yes, he adopted Grub
Yeah.
from the.
Oh, I thought he was
The
Keneb's
jam dog.
actual kid.
No, Grub was handed to Keneb by Dewicker.
Oh, but then again, before Coltane died.
Mm-hmm.
Coltane was born on the Wiccan plane,
And the Wiccan
on a different continent.
The Wiccan
Got
mages
it,
don't
fine.
age quickly. That's just Silver Fox because she had the Mybe to draw from.
Oh, okay, fine.
Mhm.
I want to know where Coltane is. Like, is Coltane going to show up again?
If you want to learn more about Coltane, you should read the novels of the Malazan Empire.
Really? Are you serious?
Maybe.
I figured he'd show up in the sequel to The God Is Not Willing.
Wait, are you talking about like before his death or after his death? Okay, he won't say. Fine.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in those Ice novels.
How many are there? Too
6.
A
many.
lot.
9 now.
If you're just talking about the series called Novels of the Malazan Empire, it was 6. The original run was 6 books.
The first one's a short story, most kind of.
It's a novella.
Yeah.
It's 10 hours long. It's not a short story.
Wow, is it that long?
It's 7 to 10, somewhere in there.
Wow.
If you read it with your eyes, it would probably be closer to 7. I think it's like 9 or 10 in audiobook.
Can you believe we have to specify if you read it with your eyes?
Well, because it's
I
faster.
read with my heart.
Audiobook is slower.
I read by faith, not by sight.
Anyway.
That's very fast way of reading, by the way. I can just like look at a cover and be like, I know what goes on in there, and just not even open it.
That's called judging a book by its cover.
And then I'm like, I need to ban that book. Looks like there's bad stuff in there.
Oh, too topical.
There's
Yeah, that's true, isn't it?
there's that moment where I think it was it Quickben? No, Strings or Quickben talking to Quickben talking to Kalam, and then Quickben makes a comment, and then Kalam says something, and then Quickben's like, "Oh yeah, I forget you weren't at Coral." And that was just like, oh, just a
Yeah.
reminder that all those people that you knew, you weren't there to.
They all
To say
died,
goodbye.
and you weren't there to save them. That must feel bad for.
Who did he say that to? Fiddler or
Quickben said it to Kalam.
Because he said they're Malad, Picker, Ansi, Blend, Spindle, Blue Pearl are survivors retired living in
Yeah,
Burgess
yeah.
Land, along with Captain Ganos' parent.
Yeah,
And then
That's what I
then we
was
see
referring
Ganos
to.
later.
Mm-hmm.
I thought so.
And then we actually do get to meet Ganos. I thought that was
Yeah.
really cool.
I was not expecting that.
Pilar meets up with Ganos, and he seems to be a whole lot more stable than he was in Memories of Ice.
Yeah, he seems
Yes.
confident
He's
and
spent
not
some
getting
time
stabbed by Sar.
figuring himself out. I assume
Well, he's
I
the
assume a lot of
master of the
confidence
deck.
kind of like is leached from Raced. They like fed off each other for a while.
But
Race
he
dance
was,
servant.
Yeah.
he was the
Yeah,
master of the deck in memories, and he was just like, I don't wanna. I have
Yeah,
a
he
tummy
hadn't
ache.
accepted it basically.
Well, I
That
mean,
was
you
him
can blame him.
transitioning, okay, to become the master of the deck and accept
Yeah.
the responsibility. And
You
now
are-
he's like,
You're
yeah,
now one of the most powerful beings in the universe. Cope.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we missed the timeless training montage in the Azath house with him and
Yeah. Him and
Alright.
Race, they're like playing with the House of Dragons.
Are you gonna tell
Deck of
me
Dragons.
that that's in a novel of the Malazan Empire, book 5 or what?
No, that specific scene is not mentioned.
It's
only as a
it's
reference.
just off screen. He off screen blessed the House of Chains. He spent a bunch of time with Raced. He hung out with the bridge burners in Darujistan. So he got his confidence during this training montage that we only get told about. You know,
Although, from what we learned in Memories of Ice, him sanctioning the House of Chains is just probably him saying, "I sanction the House of Chains." So he probably
I
wasn't
bless
very-
you.
Maybe
Good
after
one,
having a
Christ.
few beers, all I gotta do is say, I bless the House of Chains. And like, oh, what did I just say?
Ah, heck.
Don't go around blessing people or things.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice that the epigraph to this chapter was written by Dewicker about the Bone
Mhm.
Hunters? So Dewicker knows something.
Wait,
I don't know where he got this information, but got it from somewhere.
and that's if we assume that the epigraphs match up with the events of the narrative at all. Because Talk the Younger wrote a book about the bridge burners supposedly, and I still am like, what did he write it in the body of the Panion guy he lives in now, or like when did he have time to sit down and write a book about the bridge burners? You know, so for all we know, it's all
Yeah, I think Talk actually wrote a book.
Speech
What?
to text.
like post resurrection or
I don't know when he
pre.
wrote it,
Yeah, like that's what I'm
Fine.
saying. He spent like time in chaos, passed out. Then he was being tortured. Then
You
he
gotta
got
you gotta
killed.
read the next book and the Path to Ascendancy, and then you'll find out.
Talk doesn't show
What,
up.
the one that's not out yet?
Exactly. See, you can't prove me wrong.
Got you there.
We haven't talked about Tavor. Like,
'Cause she's perfect. There's nothing to say.
No,
she is.
She's a mess.
So I'm annoyed with her.
Why?
Welcome to the club.
Because I get it, from the very beginning when we met Tavor in Gardens of the Moon, like, she was already described as more, like, reserved and cold, for lack of a better term. And she's not, like, an oversharer, and she keeps a lot of things to herself. And she's very, like, strategic in her mind. She's, like, trying to think through, like, 5 steps, 10 steps ahead, and, like, doesn't want people to know, like, what her plans are going to be. And that's such a lonely, lonely life. Like, she doesn't really have anybody she can trust. And the person that she did trust was...
She has
he didn't.
timbre.
She has timbre. Yep.
That's true. But we also... at least for me, like, I'm not exactly sure her and Tamber's relationship.
Mm-hmm.
They're just a couple of gal pals.
So it has
Roommates.
been presented, but who knows? And, like, her soldiers are upset, like, and rightfully so, because they have this commander who is not
Charismatic?
really... Yeah, but,
It's not
like...
communicative.
Exactly.
Yeah, but not only is she not communicative with the soldiers, which might make sense, but she's not communicative with the fists.
Yeah.
So it's like a general in an army, to use, like, not Malazan terms, just telling their commanders what to do, and the commanders have no knowledge of the rationale behind it, or, like,
Right.
why certain advice that they're giving to their general is being rejected versus accepted, or whatever. And
Yeah, and they're ready to like rebel, and Keneb seems to be the only one who's like, just give her a chance. Let's see
but even
what she
he
comes out
doesn't know
with.
for sure, right?
He doesn't.
He's like kind of cagey
He's
about
like,
her too.
let's see what she does when we get there. She must have a plan.
Regardless of how the reader thinks, and I think at this point they don't know what to think. You can't blame anybody in the army for how they like hard feelings towards Tavor.
Mhm.
Right.
She needs lessons from Coltane.
Yeah.
But Coltane didn't share his plans either.
No, but he had a hell of a lot of charisma.
Looking back on the series, I don't know what I would have done differently. Okay, I don't know if I can criticize Tavor's actions very well. With the context I have in mind.
Coltane may not have communicated widely, but I think a difference is that he had a cadre of commanders, and he like communicated at least like things that when he needed to, like directly to or indirectly to the divisions of the army that needed to know the plans ahead of time. So even though he was very reserved as well, like the sappers knew what their role was going to be in the coming battle, things like that.
Well, I
Um,
think part of it is that he trusted people to be autonomous and do what was best for their role, whereas Tavor is trying to control everything, but not explaining like what that goal is, other than they're gonna go and
Right. See, Coltane ruled like a Malazan fist in the way that he had a big meeting with everyone and they all voiced their concerns and objections and blah blah blah. And then he was like, "Okay, go away." And then he'd tell like his core people like tell them to do this, tell them to do that. And you know, like so he at least he had more of a council sort of
yeah.
like more deliberation beforehand, and then you know he did what he wanted. But
And I think well, this is just me conjecturing. Like there were more opportunities, or presented more opportunities to build trust with his people, whereas Tavor, she hasn't been commander for this group for very long, and the circumstances for like why she became the commander are not great to begin with. So I understand that, but like if I'm more questioning like why Erickson wrote her the way he did.
So Steve,
He has an
one of
essay
his,
about this.
I don't know if he has an essay,
Oh, okay.
but he does have a rationale behind this. He doesn't want you to get too close to Tavor. He doesn't want you to know her very well. He wants her to be very mysterious, at least at this point.
and supposedly when we read the Cripple God, we'll know why.
Yeah.
I've heard him say this.
It's possible that you'll figure out Tavor. It's possible you won't.
I don't
Is
think
she
you're
not
going
real?
Tavor is Hood.
Is she actually like just
Don't
not
tell
real?
her that. Now you gotta list one more thing of people that Hood is definitely not.
Hood is definitely not Fiddler. Definitely not Fiddler. Could be Kalam though.
Tavor is definitely not Hood.
Every other bridge burner is actually Hood.
And the way that she came to be in charge of this army is something that's not often explicitly talked about. She basically the Genebacan campaign falls apart, the expansion on Genebacus, and the rebellion happens in 7 cities, and then she's like sent with all these recruits to Arin, and they're supposed to reinforce the 7th, and the 7th gets destroyed. So, like, presumably she would have had Coltane to work with if it hadn't gone the way it did, or Pormqual if he didn't throw the
Ugh.
army away.
I think Porkpaul was going to be arrested.
Or that, sure.
But yeah, Coltane was going to be made High Fist, and well, Coltane decided he didn't want that, so he threw away his second chance bottle.
I think this has been a very good discussion.
Yeah, we could get to listener questions.
Yeah.
Does anybody have anything to say about Cutter and Solara? I don't have anything to say about it.
Nope.
Nope.
Cutter misses Absolar. He's a horny boy.
Yeah, and he also doesn't understand women. And Solara's like, I can take advantage of that.
We can share. Fellison, I can share him.
Yeah. You gotta admire her for progressive thinking, you know. She doesn't want to get tied down by a baby. She's just gonna sell it. You know, she's gonna appropriate
man.
Cutter, and
Those thoughts were really hard to read.
yeah, she's like at one point she's thinking like if this was a kind of world where mothers loved their children enough not to sell them. Yeah, she's had a rough life.
Yep. Questions.
Listener questions.
Lady Sweden wants to know how the Malazan crew's doing because she hasn't seen us in a while or heard from us.
Yeah, she hasn't seen us in a very long while.
Well, I've been miserable, but she knows that. I don't like New York City. I don't like having COVID. I still have a cough from it. The Met was nice. I did pre-order a copy of the second printing of Gardens of the Moon sub to Hernium Press, and I'm very happy about that. And I'm
Congratulations.
going back home in 3 days. Thank you. I'm really,
Did
really
you-
happy.
Did you go to the ice cream museum?
No, we didn't have
Oh.
time.
Sad.
She's been so busy. Today, the first day she had off, like 2 weeks, I think.
That's okay.
The Met was cool.
We'll get the miserable people out of the way, and then hopefully Ash and Befuddled Panda have better answers than these. So my whole family got COVID, and then my second day back, I completely forgot that Gardens of the Moon was going on sale and missed the pre-order. And by the time I thought of it, 12 hours later, it was sold out.
Well, I missed it by a couple minutes. That was unfortunate. I am deeply unhappy, but that's just kind of my state of being because depression.
Oh, so are we all just miserable?
I think Panda's happy.
You should smile more. That'll fix it.
Yeah, I should work out. I should go outside. I should, be less unhappy. Yeah, it's good advice.
Pet your cats.
Pet my cats. They have been keeping me company.
Yeah.
But I have been stuck in my apartment for like months at this point because it's both winter in Canada and a lot of COVID restrictions. So that hasn't been helping.
I'm sorry.
What are you gonna do?
I should drive up and give you a hug.
You are closer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
I'm
Closest you're gonna be for a while.
Look up the maps, actually.
On a bright note, I before we hear from Panda, I did pick up a left-handed guitar, and I'm trying to learn. So,
Ooh.
Are you left-handed, or is this just an?
I am no. Yeah, I'm left-handed, of course. Why would I buy a left-handed guitar if I wasn't?
I don't know.
Extra challenge.
People do
Yeah,
strange
right?
things. Yeah.
I'm pretty good. I mean, work is busy, but I'm glad to be back on the Malazan train. And I will be pretty busy for the next few months. There's traveling and boy, that's it. Yep. And Disney. Yeah.
Yay. When was the last time you went to Disneyland?
September.
Have you ever been to Disney World?
Yes, when I was very young. I was like 10.
Did I tell you I used to work there?
Really? I
Wow.
didn't know.
Were you goofy?
I'm not tall enough. to be
Pluto.
there. No, I worked there when I was in college for a semester and for a summer. My wife
Oh,
did too.
nice.
you were Gaston, of course.
Anyone
can
knows
see
who
it.
I look like knows that could not happen. My wife actually worked there as well, but not at the same time.
Oh wow. Yeah, I want to go back to Disney World, but it's changed so much. Like they have new systems and it's so much more expensive. Anyway.
It's so much more expensive, and I hear it's not nearly as good. Quality's shot down.
Sad.
All right. So now we have from Jingles 90.
Jingle.
How do you Jingles? Is it Okay.
I just call them jingles.
Okay. How do you feel about Samar Dev? Personally, possibly beyond Chapter 6, a vet should check. Her intro as an inventor and academic offering a different view of civilization made the blunt force of Karsa's philosophy much more palatable in these opening chapters than my previous experience with him in House of Chains.
She's awesome. And her law about laws, they have to be simple. And then Karsa said, and then she says that the implications are very complex. That just makes my little physicist heart happy, because that's like the heart of what you do in physics. Like, we're working towards a single unified equation that can explain everything. In my electromagnetism course, we learned Maxwell's equations, 4 equations, and that's all we did. And it was incredibly difficult working out the implications of those. So, yeah.
I like Samar. I like how responsible she is about her inventions. And
Yeah.
I think she's just, I already said, she's a perfect
Foil.
pair to, foil is a good word, perfect foil to Karsa. And spoilers, it gets better.
Yeah, it does. I like Samar. I tend to agree with her philosophy more, but I also like that he seems to be smart about challenging her philosophy sometimes. However, for the most part, he's still the same dumb Karsa, and even though he's less annoying, some of the things he does has me like just putting my head in my hands. But there's these kernels of wisdom and these kernels of like truth in his criticism of Samar's like progressivism. So I like the challenge because I tend to identify more with her philosophy.
You don't want to destroy all civilizations.
Well, obviously not, right? But also
That's
like
odd.
a general belief in progress.
I like when she told him, yeah, you're not going to have to kill hundreds of thousands. You're going to have to kill tens
Millions.
of millions.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
He's like, I'll do it one city at a time.
Oh my god.
I mean, the guy is like, he doesn't get infections, right? He's ginormous, fit, and very strong.
4 lungs.
And
Almost impossible to kill.
yeah, like,
Resistant to magic.
come on. It's unfair.
He killed Kachain Naruk with his fists.
Yes.
Yep.
It was a fight, but he still managed it.
Yeah, he still won it pretty handily. I think he was a very
Without his sword.
Yeah, he was far away from losing it, I think.
All right. The next questions are from Lady Sweden. She says, her first question is, how do you feel about the relationship between Amonis and Cotillion? I was expecting more of a dynamic duo that Erickson writes so well, but they felt so distant.
I agree.
Godhood drives you apart.
Secrets.
Secrets are no fun.
I will say, when I did first read this, I was really intrigued, and it really did kind of push against my imagination of what the relationship was like. But again, Rafo, it's pretty interesting.
Maybe they have like, secret BFF language, and it's just like all in the eyes or hands or something.
Yeah, I think that by this point they've just worked together so much and know each other so well, and Dancer knows that Kellenvet is thinking big ideas, big plans, big goals, and he's not taking care of the minutia or like the logistics and tactics of things, and he's just been filling that gap for decades at this point. So like he knows like, okay, he's gonna do his thing, I'm gonna do my thing, and he knows the ways in which they have to complement each other. Like they're like an old married couple running a business, and that business just happens to be trying to do something involving maybe saving the world. I don't know. I don't really know what their business is, but yeah, they're I don't see them as like really estranged from each other, and I'm not even sure they're keeping secrets as much as like Kellenvet doesn't want to have to think about all the stuff that Cotillion has to think about in this book,
I agree with you a lot, but at the same time, there are things that Cotillion says, which is like, oh yeah, we don't need to bother Amonis with this. Like, I can just speak for him. And I'm like, but would Amonis actually agree with you? You know? So it's kind of like, I think there's a little bit of not like animosity, but there's a little bit of like Cotillion is. I think he thinks he's doing what's best for the both of them.
Oh yeah, totally. But Kellanved does that kind of stuff all the time too, I'm sure. I mean, look at how did Sari get possessed in the first place? Cotillion was debating the morality of it, and Kellanved told her their names so that he was
He would
like, "Well,
have
now you
to.
have to possess her or kill her." So like that's like from the first page of Gardens of the Moon that they're on. They're
But who
both
would have
making these choices for each other.
who would have been like,
And
oh yeah, Amonis is Kellanved.
no, he didn't tell them that name, but at the time they didn't realize that Lauren would show up and immediately figure out everything about what they did. So they were like, "Oh, they can't know that it's us, Amonis and Cotillion, and
Right.
she knows now." So you have no choice,
But like
basically.
they would who in just normal people would be like, yeah, Amonis, that must be Kellanved. That means he's not
No,
dead.
no. That's not why. Just the idea that it was them that killed all those on Ikokon Peninsula was what they were
Sure.
trying to keep
Shadow
from
Throne and
Lauren.
Cotillion.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
So just hearing the names Amonis and Cotillion was enough that they couldn't let Sari just chill. And Kellanva did that to
Fisher Girl.
Cotillion on purpose.
Fisher Girl.
Right, Fisher Girl, of course.
She's
Yeah,
been
I'm calling
dead
her
since that
Sari.
day anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'm fine with their relationship. Though I don't see the biggest contradiction here.
I think it's interesting that Yasna thinks that the power-hungry maniac and the professional killer are trying to save the world.
It's been hinted at multiple times that they are. Kellanved has shown a lot of restraint with the Talani Mass. Maybe not by choice, maybe by choice. And it was theorized in House of Chains that he was perhaps trying to sit on as many thrones as possible and not use the power to do anything, to try to nullify the power of the gods. This was theorized in House of Chains.
Just wait until you find out that the Book of the Fallen is just Amanus writing propaganda about these events. After the
Well, he could have made himself look way better if that was the case. So it's very subtly done.
You can only stretch the truth so far.
Because he does look like a maniac. I mean, in the first book, he looks like a villain. But by book 4, you get a more nuanced opinion. Lady Sweden's question. We all know Panda loves being back with Fiddler and Strings, but apart from that, who are you most happy to catch up with again?
Karsa.
Joyful Union until it got stepped on.
We know Ash's answer. It's Absalar.
Absolutely. Obviously. No, it would be Shadow Throne because I like Shadow Throne a lot. He's one of my favorite characters.
I like Cotillion a lot.
I do like Cotillion a lot. This book makes me like him a lot more than I've liked him. I mean, I always liked him, but I like him way more in this book than any book we've read so far.
I think part of it is because Cotillion has shown, we've seen more of Cotillion, and there's more range to his character than what we've seen, at least what I've seen of Amonis.
I like how, even if we assume, which you guys don't necessarily, but I do, assume that Kellanved has his intentions are noble, even if he's wrong in what he's doing, even if he's not wrong. Kellanved steps on people and uses them and exploits them to those intentions, whether they're noble or not, and doesn't care. And Cotillion also does those things, but he's trying to atone for it and trying to get clear of it in some way morally. Not very successfully necessarily, but at least he struggles with it. Kellanved does not give a single crap about who he has to use to achieve whatever he's trying to achieve, and even if I'm assuming that that those ends are noble, the means, Kellanved will use any means. It doesn't matter. That's how it feels to me. And Cotillion, it doesn't feel so.
the primary difference in my mind between them is Cotillion is much more straightforward in his dealings, whereas Amanus is
Giggling.
very much an illusionist, and he's always double or triple or quadruple dealing, and it's very difficult to figure out what he's actually trying to achieve, or if he's been sincere once in this series so far, we know, and then everything else it's hard to tell.
When he was Santa Claus?
Sincere.
Oh.
No. And at the end of Dead House Gates, when he's like, when Fiddler is saying,
Santa
"I
Claus.
just want to re-enlist," and then
Yeah, when
Shadow
he was
Throne is
Santa
like,
Claus.
oh yes, when he was Santa.
Because
Yeah,
he
you're
gives
right.
the
Yes.
Christmas party a Christmas
yep.
gift.
Yep. Yes, that was the one time he was genuine.
There's
You
another
know,
time I think he's genuine, but I won't say.
That we know of. Like that's where he comes out and says, "This is when I'm not joking."
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
the giggly part of Amon Us seems to have diminished quite a bit over the course of the series. He's not, at least
He does a lot
he's
more
not described.
yelling
Yeah.
now.
And a lot more disappearing.
He's very stressed out. Okay.
I get the feeling that when people aren't watching, he's giggling in a corner.
So
Actually, I do have an answer to the question, but it's a
Mhm.
character that we haven't seen yet in this book. And I actually don't know if we will.
Ooh,
Rake.
that makes it a better answer.
And
Her
Amanda.
question was, who are you happy to see again?
He's happy to see Animander again.
so
When he
now
shows
you're
up, of
answering
course.
who are you looking forward to seeing again?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
we got a mention of Rake, but we haven't
Yeah,
seen.
I'm counting
okay.
this.
Uh,
Okay, so her last question. Oh no, there's two. Okay. Her last question is, personally reading this was so much easier than the introduction to the earlier books. I wonder if it's the writing or the familiarity with the characters. How do you feel about it?
familiarity.
Familiarity, but also the pacing is so much easier to
Do you know why?
So fast.
Because there's so much more dialogue.
Oh yeah?
Really?
Like especially when it's with the Malazans, with Karsa and Samar, it's like there's a lot more dialogue that's happening rather than like describing what's happening.
Yeah, Steve really likes to switch around styles, and the style that he uses in the beginning of Bonehunters, I think, is what most people like the most from him. But he doesn't care what most people like, so
No, he
he will
doesn't.
switch around as he wants.
I mean, this is my favorite book that I think I've ever read. And part of it, I'm sure, is the familiarity and the style that he uses here. And there's other parts that I can't talk about yet. And her last question is F, marry, kill, Quickbin, Fiddler, and Kalam.
Kill Quickben, F Kalam, marry Fiddler, obviously.
I
it's an obvious
definitely
question.
marry Fiddler.
Yeah, I think everybody's going to say marry Fiddler.
Marry
This is almost
Fiddler.
not fair.
Kill
Yeah.
Kalam and F Quickbin though.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Why? Okay, never mind. You don't have to explain.
Quickben obviously has just that sex appeal, you know. He can't stay away.
He's also like more
He knows what he's
intellectual
doing.
and feminine than Kalam. Kalam's like this big bear of a man, and
Quickbin
I'm gonna
literally has
F
women inside
F
of him.
Kalam.
Yeah, Panda knows
Sorry,
where it's
quick
at.
bit.
Okay, if
That makes
I
sense.
kill Kalam, that means I am the guy that killed Kalam
Kalam
Mekar.
Mekar. Yeah, but imagine
Yes.
being the guy who killed Quickben and all of the personalities within him.
Mm.
That's impressive.
can we skip the solutions question?
No, I prepared for that.
Oh, okay, fine.
What are they?
Okay, so user the solution asks, how terrible are the new characters on a scale from Dolores Umbridge to the Grinch?
So our new characters are Tarlak Veed, Faradon Sort, Hellion, Air Squad, so like Earth stuff, Samar Dev, Telrest and Kirtle, Edgewalker, and Dejim.
Do we have to rate all of them? I'm not doing that.
No,
Don't do all of them. Just do the ones that stand out as terrible. Terror Like Feed, awful. Deja Nabral, awful. Both of those are... No, they're not Grinches. They're worse than Grinch. Grinch is actually not that bad. Grinch is a good guy. I would say Ferret and Sword is Grinch because
Yeah.
I think she's misunderstood.
Umbridge is worse than Grinch, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Veed is Umbridge, and
He has like none of her. He's like a completely different kind of bad.
because she's incredibly evil, and
It's
and
a
she's
scale.
incredibly annoying. Okay, and you don't want to spend time with her. Would you like to spend more than like 5 seconds with Terralock Veed?
I
didn't
would
think
much
so.
rather spend time with him than Umbridge.
Are we rating them as like people, or are we rating them as how well written the characters are and how much we enjoy reading them?
How much you dislike them? I think.
Okay, because I enjoy reading Dejim
I
Nabral. I
think-
don't enjoy reading Veed, and I
think
know I'm not
Steele's
supposed to.
question is firmly tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
Yes. They're all bleh.
All of them. You didn't like Edgewalker.
I thought you liked
Oh,
Tellerant
I
the
do like
Turtle
Edgewalker.
Oh, the three that I was talking about.
and Samar Dev.
Sorry. I mean, I don't even know. I've lost the plot.
So take our ramblings as an answer, Soul.
All right.
Mhm.
That concludes this episode. If you want to join the read along and or contribute listener questions, check us out on the Legendarium's Discord. You can find the link on thelegendarium.com. Also follow us on Twitter @GreenTeamPod for updates and fun times. Check out the Legendarium podcast for the Wheel of Time, Cosmere, Lord of the Rings content, and so much more. Thank you to our panelists, Ashaman, Huron Fan, and Befuddled Panda. I'm Yasna as a boy. Until next time.
You're welcome, and goodbye.
Bye bye.
Goodbye,
Bye.
bye.
Pew pew.
Pew pew.
Maybe that's just Kellen Ved using Mianis to make himself into a woman.
Or maybe he was at her little like orphanage and he learned how to be a tyrant from her.
Could be.
And then
And
he took
he
her
took
name.
her name.
Yeah.